Give me back my pop. Go away now. Delicious. Delicious, I say. How's everyone doing today? You're doing great. I can tell. Welcome. Let me just hear. Watch now. Cha-la-la. Just getting everything set up. How's everyone doing? How was their week? How's life? How's prison treating you? I'm assuming that someday, at some point, someone will watch this video in prison and their minds will be blown. Anyway, welcome back to the Rocky Writers Group. Today we are going to be continuing writing because we're not the Rocky Bakers Group. Talking a little bit more about the NaNoWriMo Young Writers Program, just going through, just making you think, whoa, what happened on the screen there? And then we're going to do some writing sprints. I'm actually starting a different project, so I'm going to be working on the outline of stuff again, because I procrastinate finishing anything, and it's a problem. I have an addiction. It's called every other project I want to work on. As soon as I start working on one, everything else becomes more attractive. Pinkies up, people. So, what has everyone written these days? Oh, Discord for streamers? That doesn't sound like a real person. Interesting. Sorry, I'm just looking at the people in chat, seeing who's here. And all that funky stuff. So I gotta just close the little window down. Doo-doo, oh yeah. Anyway, so that's what the plan is to do today, is to work on that. What? Princess Cheapskate. Oh, I miss them. I appreciate you stopping by, Princess Cheapskate. It was a joy to have you last week, and I appreciate the thought. So even if you can't stay too long, or even if you're already gone, either way, you will be missed. Your presence was a blessing. So, what are we up to today? That's right, lesson plan 3, called Good Novel, Bad Novel. Mostly bad novels because that's more fun to talk about. I want you guys to ponder books that you have read that you didn't enjoy. Or maybe you kind of enjoyed, but maybe the ending kind of just did something for you. Any book that, well, I mean, you can think about the same thing for good books. What is a book that something happened that made you go, wow, that's so cool? Or a book that you've read that made you go, oh, well, you are pretty mysterious, Princess Cheapskate. You don't show up on my chat list of who's watching, so to me, you're a ghost. So whenever, the only reason I know you're here is because you've commented. So I'm sorry if I don't, I'll figure this thing out one day. Anyway, every single book with a harem can be added to books I don't like. That's true. Though I suppose if the harem belonged to the villain, then you're like, yeah, I hate harems and I hate this guy already. So it just establishes that I hate this guy because he's a douche with a harem. I was thinking of just books that came to mind. The Hunger Games series. Not the whole thing, because, I mean, for the most part, the book series was enjoyable. I liked it. But the ending was just horribly depressing for some reason. That's what I remember. I don't even remember the specifics. I just remember it didn't feel like a very happy ending. And maybe that series can't have a happy ending. But it just seemed like you left with someone who was drunk and someone who was mentally ill. And even though, like, some good came out of it, it was just, I was like, they fought through hell and now their lives still kind of suck. So That's one. Princess Sheepcake, can you actually name, like, let's name names. Let's not beat around the bush here. Let's talk about, like, a specific book. Name and shame. So I'm looking at you, Susan Collins. Sorry, I had to look. Mockingjay. One of the things about working at a library is sometimes books have to be added to the donation pile to be sold. Or like, hey, please, why don't you give us a donation for these books? And I go, ooh, I think I'll pick that up and give a donation before the public sees it. So I'm collecting a hardcover of The Hunger Games. Anyway, while we're waiting for Princess Cheapskate to name and shame some specific books, we've got, what's the other one? Rule of Three. Let me just look that up here. Pardon me as I do some Googling. The Rule of Three by Eric Walters. And it's an interesting book. I mean, it's a young adult fiction, so nothing shocking. Hold on a second. And it was interesting because I love dystopian kind of, I mean, who doesn't? Yeah, the power goes off. I mean, the characters were a little too young for me. I mean, I'm a little middle-aged now. But the power goes out, so this whole town has to learn how to survive. They live outside of a big city, so they're sort of like a satellite town where a lot of people commute to the city for work. So some people's parents are gone; they don't come back, or maybe the one person, mom, doesn't come back, and of course, then the people leave the city looking for supplies, and the town has to learn how to grow food and look after themselves. You were brushing your teeth and heard your name. I was just wondering if you could name a specific book that you didn't like. Like you just said, every single book with a harem could be added. But I'm wondering about, can you name a title? I want to know, like, let's call out some authors. And Hunger Games, and I'm mentioning Rule of Three by Eric Walters. And I've already forgot the name. Anyway, while you're pondering, in that book, so society crumbles, electricity non-existent. Well, I shouldn't say non-existent. Electric stuff still works. It's just all the power plants in the world seem to have gone out, like an EMP pulse or something. Fries everything. So computers don't really work, but old engines and things like that still work. So they have an old plane and old cars still work. And anyway, the whole book was about them surviving. And which was wonderful and interesting. But then they felt, I don't know, it felt like the last quarter they thought, crap, we really got to have a villain in here other than the environment and the situation. So they came up with like another town that had been just mentioned a few times, and they had done a few bad things, but suddenly this town was marching on them with an army. And they destroyed them, I think, by blowing up a bridge. While the army hadn't even reached their town yet, and they blew up the bridge, and it collapsed, and everyone on it died. Well, I think if you're looking up power harem fan fiction, shame on you. Just kidding. I'm trying to think of books that often have. Well, actually, it's not really a harem, but I know one book series that kind of went, I'm not sure how I felt about it. Robert Jordan, Wheel of Time series. Have you read it? Huh? It's good. I like it. Good fantasy novel, but the main character, Rand, he has this sort of girlfriend crush, possible, but like childhood betrothed type situation at the beginning. They're not dating, but they kind of know that they're meant for each other. Then they move off on an adventure and they split up, and Rand meets a princess. and falls in love with her, and she falls in love with him, and then he moves on from there. And no, actually, we're talking about the rule of three. Princess Cheapskate just asked about blowing up the bridge and the knife of never letting go. That was also a strange book. I only read the first one. Because I don't know. I do not know how I feel about that series, and I'm kind of scared about Tom Holland in it. I'm sure he'll do a fine job, but I'm just, like, the series just doesn't have that kind of je ne sais quoi. I do not know what it is, but I'm not sure the series will properly translate to the big screen. You know what I'm saying? Yes? You know? So, we'll see. We'll see if the movie's any good. Fingers crossed. But, no, there is, like, the Wheel of Time series, Rand ends up with 3 wives, basically. And they're all very strong, independent women, and they like each other. It's just every time that kind of situation comes up in a book, I'm going, no. Generally speaking, I can't think of a single culture where that kind of thing is okay, where it doesn't oppress women. It doesn't seem to work. And then you think you got, like, society. I mean, we have, generally speaking, births, 50% male, 50% female. That's kind of how biology turns out. That's our stats. I think there's slightly more boys by, like, a fraction of 1% type thing, but generally speaking, if one guy had 3 wives, that means there's 2 guys out there who don't have a chance of ever getting married. And what do you do with 2 guys raging anger issues and testosterone? I mean, they have no calming influence on them. So, hey, guess go fight battles, I guess. Send them off to war. I don't know. It just seems weird. John dies at the end. I have not read that series, but I hear that John dies at the end. Am I wrong? Or is the title ironically named? I'm going to have to Google this up right now. John dies at the end. Was that made into a movie? Yes, it was made into a movie. Is it based on a book? Based on a book, 'cause it's just coming up, it's a movie. But maybe I should check it on Wikipedia. Oh, based on David Wong's novel of the same name. So yes. That just sounds very messed up. Okay, princess. I shall look into reading it. But I'm just typing a response because I feel like whatever. Shh, don't judge me. But I won't promise I'll like it. Boom. The weird, crazy, yeah. I like straight kind of escapism, fantasy, adventure style, yeah. I like that kind of stuff. Stuff that is mind-bending, usually, maybe I don't get it the first time and I feel stupid. I don't know. So, anyway, so that's some those are some books where things I don't like. So I guess if you're writing a book, Princess Cheapskate, I don't think you should include a harem in it. Like, you don't like this kind of situation, I think it makes a bad novel. So stay away from it. I will stay away from, I'm always afraid of saying this wrong. Deus ex machina? Deus ex machina? God out of the machine. This whole idea of, like, oh, there's an ending, we got to quickly wrap things up. Oh, we'll just have God come down and smite them from the stage. it was birthed from theater, with literally like a god coming down and like solving all the problems that the humans had made. Yeah, whatever, Princess Cheapskate. You can write. You just wrote right there. Ha ha. Logicked. You can write. Now, if you can write, now whether or not you can write well, that could be another thing. But it's a practice. It's a skill. I suck too, but I feel like I have lots of ideas, and so I want to. Even if it takes until I'm 80, and I'll die, and in this little box there'll be a whole bunch of USB drives of partial stuff I've written, and then my grandkids will be like, "Wow, this stuff really kind of sucks." Or maybe one of them will be a writer, and they, there's some gems in here. I think I'll take old Grandpappy Neil's ideas. Why, I don't know why they would talk like that, but let's pretend that they're talking in an old person voice. I think I'll take the old Grandpappy Neil's ideas and turn them into a novel. And then suddenly it's like a world famous novel that everyone loves, and even I'll be loved. What is the word? Postmortem? No, I'll be dead, but I'll be loved and known. Yes, you did get logicked. You're welcome. But what are some other things? I'm just looking at these things before we start writing. Good. Okay, well, what makes a good novel? That's like a harder thing to talk about because it's easy to talk about what sucks. It's like, oh, I don't like this. But what makes a good novel? I'm going to jump out on a limb here. Characters, dialogue. You got to care about the characters. And the dialogue's got to be, I don't want to say natural because I don't think you can make natural dialogue easy because we talk very strangely when you think about it. When you listen to people talking in real life, they drift off. They start a new conversation. Someone jumps in and the conversation turns somewhere else. Sometimes you say things that you're not really wanting to talk about. Like someone stole your lunch at work out of the fridge and you're trying to suss out who did it. And so you might be striking up conversations that have nothing to do with this. Anyway. So yeah, I think in novels, people, and in movies, people talk differently than real life. You can't quite, but there's got to be, I think, a poeticness to it, a flow. They got to be eloquent, which, I mean, you got to write something good and then you have to hope to have a good actor. Dialogue, good characters. I don't know. The idea, like, I want to say idea, but ideas are everywhere. You can come up with, someone said, I was listening to some lectures by Brandon Sanderson. He wrote the last few books of the Wheel of Time series. And he had some lovely thoughts on he said you can give like a weird situation, plot, character idea to a great novelist, and they'll probably come up with a really good story. You can give a great idea to a bad writer, and you'll get a piece of crap. So ideas are... Have you read the Alex Verus series? There's somebody... Well, no, I have not. Alex Verus. I feel like I should say that in a British accent. Have you read the Alex Verus series by Benedict Jacker? They're some of the only proper published books I've ever read. So I'm going to look that up. Alex Verus. Alex Verus series. Ooh, and what do you know? An urban fantasy series set in London. Nailed it. A diviner with a dark past who runs a magic shop in the back streets of Camden Town. How I wish I was in Camden Town. Sorry, that's like a different song altogether. I'll have to look into it. I think these covers look vaguely familiar. If I know I haven't read them, but maybe I've just seen them. What's the first one? Is it Fated? Is it? Is it Fated? Come on, show me. Okay. Yeah, it looks like, oh yeah, Fated is the first one. I'm gonna have to look it up. Thank you. Oh. Look into the future a bit. I'm trying to remember. That's like for the girl from Twilight. Sorry, we were just watching that a little while ago. I can't remember her name, but one of them has visions of the future. But only possibilities, so it can be changed. Which is a kind of a crappy way out, if you ask me. I like those movies, like the time traveling movies, where future cannot be changed. Like you cannot change something, in a sense. Like if you change it, you break it. But if like the Back to the Future series of movies, fabulous set of movies. But I love it when when they go back into the past for like third time or whatever, and he's trying to correct some other mistakes. Meanwhile, you see him from the first movie in the background doing, like he's trying not to interact with himself. And you can kind of like, yeah, just, I love that kind of stuff. Though I was thinking about, it's not time travel, but a book or a story about multiple dimensions, where there's someone who can travel between, like everyone cannot no one can travel between the dimensions because there's another you in that dimension taking up space. So you go up to these portals, which are really just mirrors and reflections. Anything that you can see through is a portal into the mirror, is into like a next dimension or an alternate reality. But you can never go through because there's someone on the other side pushing back. So you're stuck. Okay, it's not a spoiler. Well, then good, because I actually didn't think it was a spoiler because he was like running a magic shop. I figured he had some sort of magic powers established early on. Besides, I don't know, find the queen, whatever. Where was I? Oh yeah, alternate dimensions. So this guy wants to travel through them. So he figures out a way to kill his alternate selves in the other dimensions. Because they all do the same things, basically. When you're doing something in one universe, in all the neighboring universes, you're all doing the same thing anyway. So he commits suicide. Well, he plans out all these suicides of himself. But he makes sure that he's just on the knife's edge before someone finds him. So basically, every time he gets resuscitated or brought back, there's neighboring versions of himself that it's too late, they die. So he just does this over and over again. He keeps killing himself or committing suicide, but just doing it ever so carefully. And eventually he's killed off enough of himself in the alternate universes that one day he goes to a mirror to look in and there's no one there. And then he can walk through. So, and then the adventure begins. Because he's doing this because he lost a childhood friend who fell through by accident. Like, for some reason, we were bumped up against a neighboring universe, and his friend didn't exist in that universe. So his friend fell through, and then the universes kind of split apart as they do, as they move about, and everyone blamed him. It hurt inside. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Now that we've thought about good novels and bad novels, it's time to do a little bit of writing, people. And that includes you, Princess Cheapskate. I know you say you don't write, but I don't believe you. It's kind of weird that you hang out with some writers. I'm calling myself a writer. Writing streams. I think you are a writer, and you just are in denial about it. Don't be in denial. Embrace it. Embrace the writing. Pinkies up. Okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to turn on the timer. We are going to write for 45 minutes and just and I'll chat. But I'm starting a new story. I'm not sure if you heard that, Princess, before. I kind of want to go back to screenplays for some reason. So I am dusting off an old idea I had that I've been pondering for a little bit. In fact, I think I wrote, if I could find the draft, I did an actual story of it, and I have no idea where it is. Some USB somewhere in the world has a file with this script on it that I completed the first draft of. Gonna change it entirely, well, mostly 90% of it I'm gonna change, but let's begin. 1, 2, 3, and go. So I will just chatter along as I do this. The first chapter, which I will think of it as the first scene. Character, he is crippled. I'm not sure if that word is even. Fact is, I think he has some spinal or nerve issues. Lives in a small town. Days away from the only city and colony on New World. Well, on a world. Colonized millennia ago. So basically, in the first scene, I've got to establish that this guy, they're on a different planet. They're on this new planet, but it's different, and vast technology brought them here. But for some reason, in the last few hundred years, people have been, and the government has been encouraging people to become more agrarian, shun technology, all that stuff. I don't think I want to make it like a religious thing, like some religious movement is but maybe a secular movement, return to the country, embrace nature type idea. So his job is to dismantle old tech and melt down. So that's his job. He's out in the middle of nowhere with his family, but once a week, once a month, the city sends him crates full of technology. Oh, okay. Goodbye, Princess Cheapskate. Thank you for stopping by and chatting. It was lovely. You have brightened my day. So, good night. I'm trying to think of a... Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Do-do-do-do-do. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Do-do-do-do-do. I hate to leave you, but I really must say, good night, sweetheart. Good night. What's that from? And then there's the one from the Three Amigos. Blue shadows on the trail, soft wind blowing through the trees above. All the little cowboys are in the barn house now, so close your eyes and dream. Okay, I've been distracted enough. Okay, so he's in the country. The city sends him crates of tech, and what he does is he scans it. Actually, does he even? Yeah, let's say he scans parts of it. Okay. He receives a new shipment. New shipment. Scans for his own purposes, not for the city. So for him, like the city, he's like a reclaimer, a recycler. And there's probably tens of thousands of them around. Their job is just to break down items, and then they melt the stuff into the, okay, like, wouldn't it be weird to have like you get a cell phone, you put it in a device, and it like heats up and it just melts it, but then it can somehow, using maybe combination of magnets and different melting points and various weird things, it could separate all the individual metal from that. So you could have silver and gold and titanium and all those aluminum just pooling into different blocks to ingots. And so after you do a couple of things, you got this block of aluminum or steel or something, and so you have all this raw material after breaking down lots of things. So that's what he does. But he gets something different. It's old. And he doesn't know what to make of it. It's not like a phone or communication device or whatever. But he scans it anyway. He loves the city, wishes his parents would move there. Always lived in country, though. See, I'm not sure about this. The idea is, I love the idea of superhumans. I just do. People having special abilities. There's just something, or even just something that brings them up to normal, like some aspect, where you feel like you're weak in an area, and suddenly, boom. No, not only am I normal, I'm actually a little bit better than everyone now. Like the idea of Captain America. I think that's why I really like the Captain America First Avenger movie. Because, he's weak. Physically, he is weak. Morally, he's strong and he's all that fun stuff. But for some reason, because he's just genetics, luck of the draw. And it sucks. But then he becomes not just normal, but better than normal in that department. And I think there's something like, wow. And the doctor guy says, someone who knows strength their entire life, they have no respect for that strength. But someone who is weak knows the power of strength, has the wisdom to use it. Not the right accent, but you know what I'm saying. So you can go all crazy. It's like, I've never known strength and now I got it, now I'm going to abuse it. Or you can be the person who's wise. And so anyway, an old thing shows up. It's like, this is weird. Very weird. But what does he do? Scans it. But doesn't destroy it. Yes. I'm going to add some notes down here. Okay. I can't tell you what these notes are because then you would know what the story is all about. And I don't want you to know yet. down the road. Okay, so okay, that night his barn shop is broken into. The device is stolen. Okay. Too late. It's gone. Okay, so that's the first few scenes. It's about 6 pages, 6, 7 pages. See, then this is the inciting incident. That's when, so I can't do that. Sends message, meets up with people to sell his prints. Things. Yeah, we'll put that there for now. That's a placeholder, people. Don't get all worked up about it. Let's just see. Is there anyone else? Ooh, there's Dino Eval. Eval? Dino Eval. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to my humble digital corner of the internet. We're just, well, if you've been watching, you probably know what we're doing. What are you doing? Are you writing? If you are, please let us know what you're doing. What's your story? Are you writing a novel? Are you writing a screenplay? Are you doing, poetry? Short stories, novellas, science fiction, fantasy, steampunk, whatever. I want to hear it all. So let me know. Do 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 do. Sorry, a little bit of Simpsons there. Okay, so the lab is broken into. Old device is stolen. The ancient item files have been deleted because now it's no longer, they don't know that it's not, that he's been doing this. They just think this thing is sent to him to destroy. So they got to it, they stole it back. Ha, we're successful. But they don't know, oh my goodness, he did a complete 3D molecular scan of the object. Barn. Yeah, broken into. He is too late to stop theft. To see taken crates of goods, mostly untouched. Old device gone. Sends another message to city to theft. He is about to he made a scan of it, but something tells him to shut up. Yeah, don't want him to babble right away. It's like, hey, by the way, I've been scanning everything you sent me to get a molecular detailed blueprint of it and then printing it on my 3D printer here at home. So you send me an old phone, I scan it, and then I print out a brand new one. Ha ha ha, sucks to be you. I mean, in a sense, that wouldn't quite work because I'm assuming they're sending him old damaged stuff. So he would have to take like multiple scans of multiple items. So maybe one has a cracked screen and one has a broken CPU, and he can take those two together, overlay the plans and like remove the broken parts of each one, and then he has one complete. You know what I'm talking about, people. It's a great idea. We had a 3D printer that worked like that. Be all over it. So, but when they seemed too interested in it, so it accidentally ended up his place. Not intentionally. Pull out the rug. Tries to return to work, but his attention device. So, pulls out rug. So, that's the end of Act 1 for the... If this was a novel, that'd be 6 pages. Oh, no, that can't be right. This has got to be a little bit more. 5? See, I think I'm going to have to double the scenes in this. This is a very generic kind of thing. Scenes can be like a page, 2 pages, half a page. So, but assuming a page and a half, I think that I did calculations once. Like, what's the average number of scenes in a there's like 80 scenes. And so in a script that is 120 pages, that's 1.5 pages per scene. So 6, if there's 6, that's really just 9 pages. No, it's got to be 25 pages. So I'm going to have to draw things out, but it gives me a good idea of kind of where to go. The first plot point. Past the point of no return, the final threshold. The games we've played till now are at an end. Do you spend your days... I've already sung this song before for you guys. Sorry. Point of no return. Okay. Well, of course, City sends a young envoy to him to assist and investigate the theft. So the city's like, okay, we accidentally sent something of vital importance to this guy. It was stolen. If it was destroyed, it would at least be destroyed. We don't really need it, but someone's got their hands on it. They could do some damage with it. So they need to do some investigating. They send someone, and of course, because I'm a sucker, it's going to be a young lady, a love interest for our main character. Because let's not kid ourselves. Every story, there's a love story. Star Wars, love story. I mean, it's not with Luke, but still, Han and Leia. Alien, it's a love story. Ripley, the alien. They just want to be together. Kind of in a weird way, but still a love story. What else are we looking at? Hey, Commander Root is here. Or is Commander Root another bot? Commander Root, you're not... I have a feeling like my heart is about to be broken. But there is Dino Evolve. You're like fairly new. You created, you're a real person. So I like you. Oh wait, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Okay. So he wants to help, mostly to get out of a village. She is detective, but maybe not too social. No, she's probably tech savvy. Savvy. So I can't do that. I can't do his weird Captain Jack thing. Hey. Okay, so that's enemies and allies. Now this is another one of those things. Like, do you cut to? I mean, lots of good stories have. You leave the protagonist and you join the antagonist. So, do we do that? Do we do that here? I don't know. See, and then this is where fun and games, earning respect. Like, yeah, this is. Are they dead? Are they dead? And to go to the city. He goes. Maybe this is kind of like a Luke Skywalker thing on Alderaan. Or not Alderaan, and Tatooine. Like, once his aunt and uncle are dead, there's nothing holding him there anymore, and he can leave with Obi-Wan. If the stormtroopers didn't kill his aunt and uncle, he probably would never have left. So he goes with the back to the city. He brings his own files and printer with him. She finally agrees. Now there's going to have to be some stuff that happens in between there, because let's face it, that is not enough. Like, she just shows up in this chapter, and then the next chapter it's like, yeah, you can come with me to the city. So obviously there's going to have to be some other scenes in between here. So we'll see how that goes. Man, and we got like 20 minutes left. Like, we can keep going for, maybe we'll go for another 10 minutes. If you guys want to keep writing for longer, do it. Do it. I will not stop you. I will not stop you. They are going. Find going to city in a bit, but first lead. Find gang out in the desert. In cave. She goes in cover. Vice. He prints out a weapon, maybe. Goes to help. Normally kills, but he die. Energy. Walk. This should be number 10. Move to 10. I think I'm going to have to make this. I'm going to have to come at this from a different angle. Because this, I mean, this is novel planning. This is not, this is helping with the story, but not so much with, I want to dust out the index cards, people. And if I'm going to do that, I need some cork boards. I love cork boards. 1 second. I'm looking up Marketplace. Cork board. Cork boards. There is a cork board. Really, really close. Really, really close. And I like it a lot. Yeah. Let me just write. Sorry, I'm just very excited about this. I'm gonna, like, there's someone selling 2. How close? First, let me just see. Meet. Boom. Message sent, people. And you know what that means? I'll tell you what it means. It means I can do some planning for script writing. For some reason, index cards are just awesome, and I love them. So I'm gonna have to go get some. But I have an addiction. I have a serious addiction. So I got to get over it. Anyway. Okay, so gang is defeated. Found with a link to council. So the council, the city council, is the ones that are promoting, hey, back to nature, back to the earth. Free yourselves from technology. Like even the city is kind of becoming more, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, more agrarian as well. However, now like this group that is trying to get this device that the city was trying to destroy is linked back to someone on the council. Like they had a copy before. So it's like, you sent this directly to the council, right? And he goes, yes. Then how does this gang have it? And then maybe there's some other messages about, other messages about getting the device. Wait for me to contact you, etc. So, and body works now. Works amazingly well. Stronger, faster. I like where this is going, people. I think we'll end the writing sprint at 10. 10 minutes instead. I know some of you are like, oh, but I try and keep my streams about an hour, and we're right there now. So let's try and stay true to form. If you guys want to keep writing, that's awesome. But I'm going to stop here. It's almost about halfway through. I don't know if I've got this right. I don't. It's been a long time. I used to write a lot more scripts. I had kind of a lot of it memorized, and now it's been years. It's probably like 5 years since I've last written a screenplay, and I'm kind of gun shy about it. I wrote one. Someone hired me to write a script, and I wrote it, and I wasn't quite happy with it. The first couple acts, but the last act was a mess. And basically, this guy was an actor, and he knew a lot of other actors. So they got together and did a script reading of it. And like, these are actors that I kind of recognize, like have been in shows that I knew, even if they were more minor characters, but still, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. I didn't like it. And then they were asking questions, and I was like drawing blanks. And I was embarrassed. And I haven't written a script since. And I want to change that. This is I want to keep writing. I hate that I stopped writing because of that experience. Because they weren't mean or anything. It's just like, it was so, let me just turn off the countdown timer. It was exposing. It felt it was very vulnerable, and I didn't like it. And yeah, I don't want it to be like that anymore. I want to change. So I am going to keep writing, and hopefully one day I'll have something that I'll be willing to show to someone. And the thing I like about screenwriting is when you're in the flow, you can write quite a few pages in an hour. If I could write 5 pages in an hour, that's wonderful. That's in a few weeks, or not a few weeks, like half a year, I could have a script done. That would be lovely. And maybe I can get over that jump and then actually do some writing when it's not a stream on Tuesday. Anyway, I'm done bearing my soul. It was lovely for all of you people that came out. Thank you. Princess Cheapskate, I think you need to do some writing. There is a writer in you crying to get out. And I believe in you. So do it. Do it. And I will see you guys next Tuesday. And we'll continue. We'll just do week 4 of NaNoWriMo writing program, just talking about what they talk about. And we'll keep going. We're just going to keep going every week, talking about something different. Write, guys. Write your story. And I'll see you next week. Bye.